Everybody, welcome into Faith and Football. My name is Neil. We are here week 7 for the start sit episode. We're halfway through this fantasy football season. That's right, week 14 for most leagues is the end of the regular season, and week 15 starts your playoffs. Now, whether or not you're at the head of the league, if you're in the middle fighting for a position, if you're at the bottom looking up and you think that you're out of it and you're done, guys. Bye weeks make everything equal. So everything that happened in the first 5, 6 weeks of the season can turn around in the next 6 weeks. Don't believe me? There are stories after stories of people who have turned their seasons around, whether it be through injury, whether it be through acquisition of other players, whether it be through the waiver wire, whatever it is, just like God never gives up on us. We don't give up on our team. Okay. And hey, we took an L in Washington against the Bears on Monday night, but I'm still repping my team. Look, guys, the same way that I rep Jesus Christ, guys, and even more so. So this is what my premise for the show is that if you're number one, if you're new to the show, welcome. I appreciate you guys tuning in and finding this channel. However you did, this was God's hand to get you here to this place to hear this message. And this is what I asked for is that the message here translates into other parts of your life. If you have had church hurt, if you've had a bad experience with religion, look, I don't believe in religion. I believe in relationship, and that is relationship with Jesus Christ. That is the only thing that matters. What is your relationship like with Jesus Christ? And sometimes we label stuff church hurt, and we think that we've been hurt by God. God never hurts you. People representing God hurt you. So let's get that out of the way first and foremost. But my premise for this channel is very simple, is that if I can help you build your faith and build your trust in God and in listening to him and in developing a relationship with him through fantasy football, there's nothing more small and insignificant as this imaginary sport that we play. But hopefully, and my prayer for you is this, is that through this, you seeing the ability to release control over things you have no control over. It'll help you with a relationship with God, and hopefully that will translate into other things, your job, your finances, your kids, your marriage, whatever it may be, whatever area you're struggling in. I'm praying that your faith will be built up because faith is a muscle. So, today's episode, we're going to be talking trades. We're going to be talking start sit. I'm going to show you guys, or I'm going to tell you guys about a couple of trades that happened in my league of record with my Thunderdome League from Zia. But before we get into all of that, as always, this is Faith in Football, so we're putting the faith first. Right now, we're going to go to the Lord in prayer real quick. Heavenly Father, just pray and ask that those who are watching, that you may speak to them, that your words may find them, that your purpose for their life may be revealed. Lord, I thank you for giving me this drive and the determination to just rely on your guidance in this. And Lord, I just pray that this word finds those that you would intend for it to find. In your holy name I pray. Amen. Guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. Welcome. And today, when I say we're talking about trades and we're talking about start sit, anybody who's into sports probably has seen the movie Jerry Maguire. And there's a famous quote in there from Tom Cruise where he looks at Renee Zellweger and he goes, "You complete me." It came from when they were in an elevator and they saw a deaf couple and they were signing and he was like, I wonder what was said there. And she understood sign language and she said, "You complete me." And he said it to her later after they were having some marital problems. But Here's the thing, is that what we look for as human beings when we're looking for someone to spend the rest of our life with, we're looking for that person to complete you. Well, here's the thing. The Bible tells us that the two shall become one. It doesn't say anything about a half and a half becoming a whole. And I think this is where people get things a little confused because we're already whole. Like we're already one thing. We're not like half of a person walking around trying to find that certain person. No, like we're already whole. It's the two shall become one. So it's one person plus one person. Now, half a person plus half a person. What you need in your life is you need an anchor. You need some kind of stabilizing factor in your life. And if that isn't Jesus, if that's not God, then, like the Bible tells us, the wise man built his house upon the rock, and the foolish man built his house upon the sand. And when the waves and the wind and everything came at him, the one that was on the rock, the one that had a good foundation, he was the one who still had his house at the end of the storm. The foolish man, he basically was homeless. He didn't have a home. Everything got washed away. So if we're not building on the rock that is Jesus Christ, if we're not doing that, just because we find somebody else who either shares our values or adds to our life or makes us feel good, like it's not going to matter because if they're built on the rock and we're built on the sand, we're either going to drag them down or we're going to lose them. Because if they're built on the rock, they ain't coming with you. And that's not going to be a good thing. And the Bible tells us that do not be yoked with unbelievers. So some people kind of twist this scripture and they say, you're not supposed to marry outside of your race or outside of, whatever. But what it means is don't be unequally yoked with unbelievers. Like when you get married, you should have the same belief system. You should have been together long enough to know each other's relationship with Jesus Christ. That's the basis of a strong marriage. I myself am on number two, and I can tell you right now that my marriage today, it didn't start out on the rock, but we collectively climbed onto the rock. And we still have our ups and downs just like everyone else, but we are so much stronger than we were when we first got together. We'll actually be celebrating 10 years of being together this month. So happy anniversary, honey. Um, but the scripture I want to read to you today comes from a couple of places, but this is why I believe that the Bible has emphasized this, is that it is so important for us to realize that we are to become one. And the Bible tells us in three different places that the two shall become one. Nowhere in there does it say half and a half. So Genesis chapter 2, verse 24 says, this explains why a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one. In Mark chapter 10, verse 8, it reads, and the two are united into one, since they are no longer two, but one. Again, in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 31, it reads, and the scriptures say, a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one. So you can't think of it, I talk about an anchor, normally you think about a ship. You can't have like you on one ship, your wife on the other ship, and y'all going in two different directions. It's kind of like having a team and your quarterback has a pass play and he's thinking you're going to run a certain route as a wide receiver. You guys got to be on the same page. You have to be one. And the great duos of history, they were on the same page. If you go back in the day and you look at Montana and Rice, You look at Aikman and Irving, and yes, it pains me to say that. Um, but you also look at guys like, and I'll bring it to Washington, Theismann and Art Monk. Those guys were on the same page. All those examples, you had a quarterback and a wide receiver who had a chemistry. They had a connection. And we, as human beings, we need that connection, but that first connection needs to be to God. I find it very, and I went back to before I said anything about this. Um, I find it interesting that in the Ten Commandments, the first four talk about how you're supposed to be toward God. You're to have no other gods before me. You're not to bow down. You're not to break the Sabbath. Things like that. The first four commandments of the Ten Commandments are all about the connection that you have with God. And then it gets to honor your father and mother. That's the first commandment when it speaks of connection on the human level. Then it's don't murder, don't commit adultery, don't covet. All of those things, those are all human relationally or relational commandments. But the first four have to do with our connection and our relationship with God. So even in the commandments, it's laying out a blueprint for you. It's laying out, an order of things. It's that God's supposed to be first. Then everything else falls in place. Then it's your family, then it's your wife, then that's the order of things. That's why the scripture says you should leave your mother and father. You're not the responsibility anymore. The wife isn't, parents are, you guys have a responsibility to one another and God, and that's it. That's where it ends until you have kids. And then you only have that for a short period of time, but we'll go into that another time. But when it speaks on having an anchor, I want to read you something from Hebrews chapter 6, and this is verse 18 through 19. Bear with me because this 18 is a long verse. It says, so God has given both his promise and his oath. These two things are unchangeable because it is impossible for God to lie. Therefore, we who have fled to him for refuge can have great confidence as we hold on to the hope that lies before us. Verse 19. This hope is a strong and trustworthy anchor for our souls. It leads us through the curtain into God's inner sanctuary. So, guys, this is what I'm talking about, is that the same way that on your fantasy team, you guys know you got that one player that's untouchable, that one guy that you're holding on to because that's your anchor, that's your producer, that's the guy you lean on week in and week out to get you through the tough matchups. The same way that we hold on to that guy, we need to hold on even stronger to our relationship with God. We need to hold on to it because he's the one who gets us through the problems, who gets us through the rough matchups of life. So I hope that that was inspiring. I hope that that helped you guys in whatever y'all are going through right now. I don't know what it is, but if you'd like to, down below, leave me a comment, subscribe, like, share, drop me a comment, and maybe something that you're going through, message me and help. Let me pray for you. I'd love to pray on air. I'd love to pray through the comments section. Just hit me up and let me know. Also, if you have any questions about start sits, let me know. I actually had a couple of start sit from buddies of mine that I'm going to, and some trades that we're going to talk about real quick. And some interesting stuff, some stuff that people are really dealing with right now. So. Now, you guys know from the last episode, and first of all, thank you guys for prayers. I am feeling better, Mom. I'm okay. Um, but I'm kind of changing things up a little bit here. You guys know my sponsors, Zia of Lafayette at 235 Duce Road, Keller's Bakery at 627 Lafayette Street in Youngsville, Omni's Groceries at 603 Jefferson Street, downtown Lafayette, and my boy Nick Reed. Nick, I'm sorry I'm wearing the hat. I just getting over this sinus thing that I had, so I did not feel like doing my hair up for the show. But my boy Nick Reed, down at 135A uh, Arnold Boulevard. You can find him on Booksy if you want to get hooked up with a good haircut. But those are my sponsors. I'm not going to go into too much detail anymore about that, guys. I want this to be faith and football, not faith and commercial and football. So, um, regardless. So, let's get into week 7, guys. Week 7, week 6 was horrible. Week 6 was absolutely traumatic as far as injuries go. Um, I encourage you to please get hooked up with some kind of injury list that you guys can go to. I personally am a member of the Foot Clan. So with that being said, I I do encourage everyone that if you sorry, I did not set this up beforehand, but okay, so let's go to my list real quick. Um, so so my list of injuries, guys, I'm gonna run through them real quick for you all. Um, this is quite extensive, but I'm gonna kind of go speed round through this. Mbuka, rookie wide receiver from Tampa Bay, he's out due to a hamstring. He's probably going to miss week 7. Hopefully, he won't miss week 8 as well. Calvin Ridley, and a lot of these guys are hamstrings. So, Calvin Ridley, wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans, he's out with a hamstring. Chuba Hubbard dealing with a calf injury, possible to make a return to week 7, but he would be limited if he does play. Darius Slayton still dealing with a hamstring. Ricky Pearsall, possible return in week 7. It's kind of a wait and see thing. Lamar Jackson, guys. Lamar's on a bye this week along with Josh Allen. So the Bills and the Ravens, both of them on bye. So if you have anybody on that team, please make sure that they are out of your starting lineup and they are on your bench. Okay. It's real easy, especially when you're in multiple leagues like I am, to miss the fact that certain guys are on byes. And before we hit Sunday, I encourage you, please, and I'm taking a break from injuries real quick. Please go on the waiver wire, look ahead to week 8, because week 8 is by Mageddon, and I'll go into that a little bit more in a minute. But we have 6 teams on a bye that week. If you guys, I myself am going to be losing Trey McBride at tight end. Thankfully, that's the only member of my starting lineup that's going to be out. I went ahead and was proactive and went out and picked up Kata Otten so I can beat the rush because other people are going to be losing tight ends. They're going to be looking for waiver wires the week of by Mageddon. Don't do that. Be proactive. Look ahead. Make the acquisitions now so you either don't have to spend as much fab or you don't miss out on players that you need for that week. But Lamar Jackson on a bye and dealing with a hamstring. Hopefully, this can get him healthy and get back to the way that the Ravens are supposed to be playing, which is not what they've been doing through the first 6 weeks. CeeDee Lamb, possible return this week as well. A lot of possible returns. So make sure that you keep an eye on that Friday injury report. Now, today, this is Thursday. I'm getting this out really late for me. I apologize. That's why all my start sets will not have anything to do with a Thursday night game between the Steelers and the Bengals. Now, Joe Flacco, I personally would, I mean, if you're in a bind, okay, I get it. If maybe you're out Lamar, maybe you're out Josh Allen. Him and Rodgers were the only ones that were available. Definitely Rodgers above Flacco by all means, unless you're playing a guy named Jamar Chase. If you have Chase as an opponent and you need a starting quarterback, go pick up Joe Flacco and counteract those points that he's going to be getting. Because I'm not sold on Pittsburgh's defense as of yet. Terry McLaurin dealing with quad injury, also possible return for week 7. Brock Purdy dealing with that turf toe. Another possible return for week 7. Darnell Mooney dealing with a hamstring, wide receiver from Atlanta. Bucky Irving, he's already been ruled out. That's the Monday night game. So make sure that all your Monday night players are in their position or in the flex position, not in their designated position. Remember, all your Thursday players need DK Metcalf does not need to be in a flex position right now. He needs to be in a wide receiver slot. Jamar Chase, of course, T. Higgins, Chase Brown does not need to be a flex. He needs to be in your running back spot so that you have more flexibility in case any of these guys that you may have on injury reserve or on dealing with injuries that have a possible return for week 7 actually make a return and you can swap them out in your flex position later on in the week. One of those guys, Mike Evans, dealing with a hamstring, and they might be bringing him back a little early because of the injury to Mbuka and the fact that Chris Godwin isn't good to go either. Because Godwin and Bucky Irvin both have been canceled out for Monday night's game. Hopefully, Mike Evans can make a return Monday night. Also, Jalen Coker, wide receiver for Carolina. There was talk about him being available for week 6. So I'm thinking that week 7 will definitely be his return. But make sure that you keep an eye on that. If that happens, Teteron McMillan should get a little more work. He'll be a little more open because he'll have to worry about Coker and McMillan instead of just focusing on McMillan. Aaron Jones, possible return for week 8. So keep an eye on that one. Running back for Minnesota. Christian Watson. This is one that we've been waiting for a long time. And the way that the Packers wide receiving core is basically a shotgun approach. Pick your guy and good luck to you. That's why I want nothing to do with the wide receiver core from Green Bay. Marvin Harrison, he's out with a concussion. It's going to be unlikely that he plays because he got that concussion a little late in the game on Sunday. Quentin Johnson, also dealing with hamstring. Brock Bowers also dealing with hamstring, has not practiced this week. They're looking possibly week 9 return for him. And David Njoku dealing with a knee injury. Also, possible trade rumors around Njoku, as per my listening to the Fantasy Footballers. So, ballers, thank y'all very much for that info. And guys, that's my list right now. That could change drastically at any time, but please make sure that you are on your game as far as listening to the injury reports, the practice reports coming out on Friday. So let's get into some trades and some questions that we had here. Let's see. So my boy Bryce plays in the league with me. He asked this. This is the question that he had was, go up here. He tells me, he says, I know you're a Cowboy fan, but with his lineup, and he sent me a picture of the lineup, would you trade Barkley for Lamb? And here's the thing, is that he's got Saquon Barkley, he's got Tyrone McMillan, Rashid Shaheed, Malik Washington, Tyrone McMillan, and at running back, he's got Devon Achane, Ashton Jeanty, and Bill Krusky Merritt. Now, here's the thing. I love Krusky to death. Look, my boy Bill from Capitol Hill is killing it. I love him. A lot of fun to watch, but he hasn't been consistent. And with a lack of a passing game, it's kind of hard to get behind that run game. So Krusky, while he might be in your lineup, kind of temper the expectation out. This week, I'm all about Bill because he's facing Dallas, who is just they're more full of holes than Swiss cheese right now in their defense, and the fact that they can put up points with their offense. So, you're going to be needing to use every single tool in the Swiss Army knife, and Bill Krusky can get it done for you. Ashton Genty, hopefully his schedule eases up a little bit, but he's facing KC this week, who is a stout rush defense. Okay. And then you got Devon Achane. I mean, it's Devon Achane. I mean, come on. But I would not trade uh, Saquon for CeeDee Lamb, and I'll tell you why. It does not have anything to do with my bias against Dallas. It's simple facts. Is that the rest of season, and this is what I told him. I'll read you this verbatim. Said, I told him, I said, I'll put it like this. Rest of the season schedule, Cowboys have the hardest schedule for wide receivers, and Philly has the eighth easiest for running backs. So do you want to take CeeDee Lamb, who's just coming off of an injury, is going to have to get eased back in, and is going up against harder opponents week after week after week, and the fact that George Pickens has performed like if Pickens didn't perform the way that he has been, yes, they're going to need CeeDee Lamb. But right now, for the offense, he's not as necessary as Saquon is. Saquon is essential to the offense of Philly as opposed to CeeDee Lamb, who, while he's a marvelous wide receiver, he's an absolute stud at that position. He hasn't been necessary to keep putting up the points. They've been finding other guys. Okay, they found Ferguson at tight end. They've got Jalen Tolbert at wide receiver. They've been playing well with Javonte Williams at running back. And then George Pickens has just been blowing up. So, with all that said, I don't see Saquon straight up for CeeDee Lamb. And with all the injuries that have been happening for running backs, just no, I'm good. Um, Plus the fact that, I mean, he has Warren at tight end, so he's got a positional advantage there. Um, and let's see, he's got Jane Daniels at quarterback, um, Cortland Sutton at wide receiver. So like he's got some dogs in the fight, you know what I'm saying? So now, my boy Charles, um, he asked me this. Um, he asked me Jaden Daniels and Jordan Mason for Judkins. He'd be giving up Judkins and getting Jaden Daniels and Jordan Mason. Says his quarterbacks right now are Daniel Jones and Bo Nix. So he would be carrying three quarterbacks. Now, Bo Nix and Daniel Jones are doing phenomenal. So it's not like he needs Jaden Daniels. And then his running backs, he's got Kyron CMC and Breece Hall. Now, Breece Hall, yeah, sure. Um, I get is a weak link, but we're not past week 9 yet. And week 9 is the trade deadline for the NFL. So if you've got Breece Hall, by all means, hold on to him. Okay. Because if he gets traded to a better situation, let's say, I don't know, KC, come on. Can you imagine Breece Hall with KC? I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but something like that. I mean, just think about anybody out there, maybe Arizona, that needs help at running back. Chargers. Imagine Breece Hall uh with Harbaugh in LA. I mean, guys, the possibilities are endless. And then if Hall gets traded to somewhere, the hype is going to be out of this world, and you can trade him on hype. Like people traded Amari Cooper a couple of years ago when he went to Buffalo, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, here's Amari Cooper. He's going to be teamed up with Josh Allen off the chart." And then he turned into nothing. So could the same thing happen with Brees Hall? Sure, but the hype is going to get you a haul. So hold on to Hall for the haul. Okay. Um, but what I told him was this is that the rest of season ranking for the rest of season for Cleveland, they got the second easiest rest of season schedule for running backs. Okay, enough said. Like Judkins has been balling, with the exception of last week, balling out. Now, Cleveland's been up, so they really haven't had to go to the passing game. And last week they threw way too much. I think they threw like 53 times. So that's why Judkins did what he did and fell flat. Now, if you've got somebody out there who is like, hey, I'm not sure about Judkins, he had an off week, da 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 da, and they're kind of worried and maybe they're having another injury somewhere else and you can help fill the gap, by all means, go out and buy them. And same thing with Brees Hall. If you've got somebody who's not happy with the way that Brees Hall is playing right now, which a lot of managers aren't, go make an offer. I mean, like Gretzky said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So take the shot and go ahead and try to trade for Brees Hall now before the hype just grows astronomically after he's traded. But like I told my buddy, no, I would. There's no way that I'm losing Judkins for Jaden Daniels and Jordan Mason. I mean, Jordan Mason, he was a great story. I had him last year. I loved having Jordan Mason last year because he just ran rampant until he got hurt. Then he was worth nothing. I couldn't trade him. But yeah, Judkins, I'm not doing that. Now, one trade that I pulled a few weeks back, if you guys remember the big blow up game that actually put me over the top with Romeo Dobbs for that week, I traded Romeo Dobbs off of that blow up game for Cam Skattebo straight up. And this before Skattebo broke out and as Dobbs was going on his bye week. So I was able to pull that trade. Now, stuff like that doesn't come across all the time. But again, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I took a shot. I didn't think it would go through, but it did. And now I'm reaping the reward of having Cam Skattebo on my roster along with Rico Dowdle. Guys, I had 4 of the 5 top running backs for week 6 last week. It was absolutely amazing. I loved it. And I think I only drafted for one of them. But I had Devon Achane, I had Skattebo, I had Dowdle. Uh, Let me check, see. There's one other guy I'm missing. I'm in way too many leagues. Way too many. I'm gonna trim it down next year. Oh, and Josh Jacobs. How could I forget Jacobs? And I have Josh Jacobs. Um, but last week, let's get this to where we need it. So at running back, yeah, I had Rico Dowdle, Devon Achane, Josh Jacobs, and Cam Skattebo. Those were my top 4 out of the top 5. And the only person that beat me was Bijan Robinson because he had an absolutely monster game Monday night. If you had Bijan Robinson going into Monday night and you were down like 30 points and you thought you weren't going to make it, guess what? Congratulations, you won. Um, but anyway, so let's get into some start sets. Now, real quick, guys, I do want to remind you guys, I said this on last episode, I'll say it again in this one. Whenever you're trading, remember, trade to improve. Don't just trade for the big name. Okay. Sometimes you're not getting that big name deal done. Okay. You're not going to get like Derrick Henry and Saquon. Okay. You're not going to get that trade done. You're not going to get the Saquon for Bijan or the CeeDee Lamb for whoever, you're not going to get those deals done most of the time. It's going to take a lot of work. It's the intermediate ones, the Tedron McMillan for so and so, that kind of stuff. That stuff goes through a lot easier. And if you've got those top tier guys already, fill in the holes. Okay. So let's go ahead. We'll start with the negatives. We'll start with the sits, and we'll work our way into the positives here. We'll make us a sandwich because, hey, of course, we start with the Word of God, and then we finish it up with who to have faith and hope in as we move into week 7. So we're making a nice little sandwich, kind of like Mark does. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go read the book of Mark. It's not a really big book of the Bible, but it is action packed and it's filled with what they call a Mark sandwich, where he starts with one story, he puts another story in the middle, and then he ends with the story that he started with and pulls everything together just like a really good sandwich. I'm getting hungry. So anyway, sits of the week. Jalen Hurts versus Minnesota. Guys, I don't know what's going on with Philadelphia, but they are broken right now. They just don't look right. And Minnesota's defense is really, really good. So if you have another option, you probably had to have a nice backup because you took Jalen Hurts. You had to pay up for him during the draft season. So you probably got a good second string quarterback. Maybe you got Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is doing really, really good this year. Amazingly in Seattle. JSN has just been soaring, and AJ Barner's been popping a little bit, but Sam Darnold has been consistent, if nothing else. So you need a little consistency in your quarterback position, and you're not really sure about Jalen Hurts and this defense or this offense going up against the Vikings defense. By all means, go ahead, bench Hurts, and go ahead and throw in somebody like Sam Darnold. You um, there are my two starters probably, or my two starts of the week at quarterback are probably going to have that second string feel to them. A couple of them have been undrafted, so when we get to that, I'll reference back to this point. Also, last week, Jackson Dart was amazing. I watched this game, fell in love with Cam Skattebo. I love this dude. I know it hurts my heart a little bit as a Washington fan to say, but this dude's just fun to watch. And the connection he has with Dart, it's amazing. But this week they're going to go up against Denver. They're going up against Sean Payton. This ain't no joke, guys. Sean Payton does not play around, especially with rookie quarterbacks. He's going to have a game plan. And I don't have Skattebo as a sit, but you should temper your expectations for Skattebo. And I would definitely sit Dart because if you're starting Dart, you're probably, I know that you did not draft him to be your starting quarterback. Um, so you got better options. Now, the next 2 weeks, next 2 weeks for Jackson Dart and the New York Football Giants, Philly again, and then the Niners, who are basically a shell of themselves. They're dealing with a whole lot of injuries on both sides of the ball. Fred Warner's out for the year, so they lost their field general on defense. So that game right there, that week 9 matchup with the Niners. I'm loving that matchup. So if you want to throw Dart into there, go for it. At running back, Travis Etienne going up against the Rams. Look, I know everybody's kind of getting a little hype about Etienne because he's kind of hung in there. He's done his thing. But we're talking about the Rams defense. Guys, the Rams are no joke on rushing defense. So please make sure that you have a better option. I'm sure that you did not draft Travis Etienne. Well, you might have drafted him if you went zero RB. Um, depending upon your league, I don't know how high you paid up to get him, but I'm sure there's better options out there for you right now. Breece Hall going up against the Panthers, guys. I don't like this matchup with the Panthers just because their rush defense has been shut down. Okay, this has been a stingy Panthers D on the ground. And with the way that the Jets are playing, I don't want anything to do with that. They've got Garrett Wilson, he's hurt. Justin Fields, he's basically like a Roman candle. You never know when he's going to go off. Um, and sometimes he's just a dud. So they're going to stack the box. They're going to make Justin Fields beat him. They're going to come after Brees Hall, and that's going to be the game plan. So set Brees Hall. You got a couple other options. Go ahead and play them. Next up, going back to my sit of the week at quarterback is my sit of the week at wide receiver. This is cohort AJ Brown with Philadelphia going up against Minnesota. Guys, this is the AJ Brown experience. Okay, this is the Philadelphia passing game experience. I've said it before, I'll say it again. You're gonna have those pop games. You're gonna have those explosion games, both for him and for Devonta Smith. But when you should sit them, please sit them. And Minnesota is one defense that you want to sit AJ Brown and let somebody else in there who's definitely going to be scoring you more points. Next guy coming out, Tedero McMillan. I know last week he had a breakout. Last week he scored his first touchdown of the season, but he's going up against the Jets defense. And as bad as the Jets are on offense, their defense is that good. So please don't start Tedero McMillan when he's possibly be the only guy. And even if Jalen Coker comes out there, Ted McMillan is going to be the number one focus of the defense. So if you've got Jalen Coker, I would start him over Tedero McMillan. Maybe you had him on your IR and you slid him in and you got to hold it to Ted McMillan somehow. I mean, there's leagues where that's happened. I think I have that in a couple leagues. I picked up Coker off of the waiver wire to maybe play him just in case something happens to Ted McMillan. So, guys, sit McMillan against the Jets defense. It's not a good play. Now, start of the week quarterback, these guys you probably could get to fill in for Jalen Hurts. If you've got Jackson Dart, who's my other set of the week, he's not your starting quarterback. Go ahead and start your starting quarterback. It's fine. I know you really want to put Dart out there because he's fun and he's new and he's like, ooh, just a new toy. But pump the brakes on that. Okay. Wait until not week 7. Wait until week 8 when he matches up again against Philly. And then in 2 weeks when he matches up against the Niners. That's going to be an awesome matchup. But for Jalen Hurts, you're looking for somebody to fill in there. There's nobody that could be better than Matthew Stafford. And he probably got dropped a whole lot in your leagues this past week when the waiver wire ran. So he's probably on your waiver wire right now. Go check because he's going up against the Jags. Guys, this Jacksonville, their defense sucks. It just does. There's no easy way to say this. Their defense is just horrible. So go ahead and start Matthew Stafford. I know he lost Puka Nacua, but he's getting Tutu Atwell back. He's got Jordan Whittington in. He's still got Devontae Adams. He's still got Kyron Williams. He's still got Higbee. So Tyler Higbee could be getting some work as well. So if you're looking for a fill-in at tight end, maybe him. Oronde Gadsden and I'm not going to go off in a tight end tangent, I promise, but Gaston with the injuries in LA with the Chargers, being paired up with Justin Herbert, and if Quentin Johnson is not available, look, I just traded for Ladd McConkey. Okay, traded. Matter of fact, let's say what I'll let me just let you guys in on what happened, and we'll talk a little bit of trades here. We're gonna put a timeout. Now, I did a trade, and this is before the waiver wires ran, which is always good to do. I try to do trades prior to the waiver wires running. Um, it can kind of throw my opponents off a little bit, but Ladd McConkey for Tedron McMillan. Now, like I said, I traded McMillan on a high, and I'm getting McConkey on a high. But with the injury to Mario Hampton in LA with the Chargers, the passing game is going to have to lead the Chargers. And look, all the preseason talk about Justin Herbert and them wanting to make him an all-star and a Hall of Famer and all that stuff, it's going to happen through the passing game. I mean, you never saw a quarterback in the Hall of Fame that was a really good hander of the ball off to the running back. You never see that. It's always going to be through passing game. So, Ladd McConkey, look, Keenan Allen is aging. Quentin Johnson just coming off of injury. Ladd McConkey, Lord help me on this one, seems indestructible. I went ahead and said it, a little hesitation, but this guy just takes care of himself. He just does. And normally those little wide receivers do. Look at Wes Welker, look at Julian Edelman. I get that they were with Brady, but these guys still got the job done. And that's who Ladd McConkey reminds me of. That's the kind of consistency and production I'm looking out of getting him. So then I went ahead and yes, I am a trade junkie. I love trading. Um, I was able to, I told you guys the plethora of running backs that I had. As much as I have in running backs, I have equally less in wide receivers. So I needed to wipe my wide receiver room up a little bit. And I took Alec Iomanner. Now, Iomanner is a rookie wide receiver with the Tennessee Titans. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would you trade Zach Charbonnet, who has standalone value as a backup running back? And then if Ken Walker, who traditionally has not finished an entire season in the NFL in his career, goes down, you get a running back who is a workhorse on the most run-heavy team in the league. Here's my simple answer. I need a wide receiver. I've got I've got plenty of running backs that can take up the slack. Guys who are in the same situation. Rico Dowdle, same situation as Zach Charbonnet. He was a backup running back, and unlike Charbonnet, he's already supplanted the starter through injury. Chuba Hubbard got injured. Dowdle stepped in, proved himself. Again, it was against two of the worst rush defenses in the league. However, he has still been more productive with the chances that he's got than Chuba Hubbard was. Even if it's a 60-40, 50-50, whatever, I still will take that production over Zach Charbonnet because Charbonnet has been up and down, guys. It's been ugly. But I've seen that ceiling of Rico Dowdle. I haven't seen the ceiling of Zach Charbonnet. I don't see Charbonnet running for 200 yards twice and getting me over 30 points 2 weeks in a row. So I'll ride with Rico. But Manor has the trifecta of what you're looking for when you trade for a new player. His head coach just got fired, so traditionally you get a bump there. His lead wide receiver just went down, which pushed him into the category of alpha. And number three, he's got an amazing matchup this week. So I love the matchup that he has. He's facing New England, and then he gets to face the Colts, and then the Chargers, and then he gets a bye week. So I'm loving the matchup, and I'm here for it. Now, there was another trade that happened, and I'll go ahead and mention this one. It was Woody Marks and Isaiah Pacheco for Malik Washington, Jordan Whittington, and Ollie Gordon, the backup running back for Miami. Now, this play right here, I don't get. It's just me, but I don't get it. Because Malik Washington, he's what? Second wide receiver in Miami, and the only one that's getting fed is Jalen Waddle. Jordan Whittington. What happens when Puka comes back? What happens if Atwell supplants? Well, Atwell has supplanted, and he's the number two. Whittington's the number three. Ollie Gordon. Ollie Gordon's not seen the field unless there's injury to Devon Achane. And then Woody Marks, he had one good week, dude. One good week. Now I get wanting to buy early on Pachenko before Rice comes back. I actually did think about this, but I can't go pull a trade for Pacheco because I don't need running backs. I need wide receivers. So back to the starts. Um, Talked about Matthew Stafford, his matchup against the Jags. Spencer Rattler gets to face Chicago. Guys, as much as Chicago is a good offense, their defense is horrendous. And Spencer Rattler, while you might not like him, and you might be a little cringy to start him, hey, if you got Josh Allen or you got Lamar Jackson and you're trying to scour the waiver wire for guys, you got to deal with what you got. So Spencer Rattler may be the only dude on your waiver wire that's startable this week. All you got to do is survive 1 week. That's it. Now, my next guy is going to do more than survive. This boy is going to run rampant over the Cowgirls in Dallas, and that is Bill Krusky Merritt. Bill gets to go ahead and face the probably one of, if not the worst rush defenses in the league in the Dallas Cowboys. So you've got Bill. Look, I know last week was a little rough, but go ahead, throw him in. You're good. Next up, Ramondre Stevenson versus the Titans. I know Ramondre has a fumbling problem, but he's apparently got the love and admiration of his head coach, Mike Vrabel. And Vrabel, apparently, unlike Bill Belichick, does not believe in fumble jail. Y'all know that, I don't know if y'all have ever seen the movie Basketballs, but that one scene where they're picking on a little guy and he's like, I swear, 20 or 30 more times you guys ragging on me and I'm out of here. That is basically what they're saying to Ramondre Stevenson. I swear, 20 or 30 more times you fumbling and you're going to ride the bench. So even though Stevenson does have a fumbling problem, he's also got goal line work. And a couple of touchdowns can overshadow a fumble easily. So while he's got the love and admiration of his coach and his OC, and the fact that Trevon Henderson, the rookie running back, fumbled his first time out as a rookie, yeah, that doesn't give the coaching staff a lot of confidence in your backup. So they'll roll with you if you're a vet. Wide receiver, start of the week. My two newest additions to my squad. I like Io Manor and I already went through why, I think, but he's playing the Patriots. I think that Drake May can and is a amazing quarterback that can and will produce in this game, which will force Tennessee to keep up with them through the air. So next up, another addition, Tutu Atwell versus the Jags. Guys, it's the Jags. It's Matt Stafford, and Puka's gone. So who's going to step in? My bet is Tutu Atwell. Yes, I'm looking for that big playability, but if you're going to take a shot, take a shot. So I'm taking my shot on Tutu Atwell. He was basically free on waiver wire. I didn't really have to pay up for him to get him. I think I had to use like maybe $2 or $3 worth of fab to get him, which is good because that's about all I got. But anyway, so that's my start sets for week 7. Guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. I hope y'all enjoyed the format and everything. Please, down below, hit me up. And if you need prayer for something, let me know. Even if you just need prayer for your fantasy team, guys, God worries about all of it. Okay. If y'all can turn everything over to the Lord and just give him a chance to prove how great he really is, y'all will see miracles happen in your life. So, guys, take that step of faith. Go ahead, step out. He's got you. So, until next time, guys, good luck in week 7, unless you're facing me, and then, I'll pray for you next week. But anyway, no, seriously, guys, good luck this week in week 7. I pray that all your players come out healthy and uninjured, and that you top your opponents. So, guys, until next time, thank you all so much for tuning in to Faith in Football. My name is Neil, And as always, remember, football is good, but God is greater. We'll see you guys next time on Faith and Football.